Glenn, Rachel, Lizzie, and Jim, it is an honor to recognize you and your dedication to finishing Jeff's story. I am Bruce Brown, Executive Director of the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press. We gather tonight with many concerns about two wars raging abroad and the reporters who cover them, about threats to democracy in the US and throughout the world, and of course about the legal risks journalists face every day here at home. At the Reporters Committee, we work tirelessly in support of the entire journalism community, from local reporters and freelance photographers to investigative journalists and documentary filmmakers. And take, for example, our support of the Las Vegas Review-Journal, as we just heard Glenn describe. In August, we rallied more than 50 news organizations to help the newspaper challenge law enforcement efforts to search Jeff's electronic devices. And as Glenn said just last week, in the kind of victory no one would wish for, but which RCFP had to fight for, the Nevada Supreme Court ruled that the protection of the state shield law survives a reporter's death. Jeff has left us with one last enduring precedent. Also in August, we led the response to another challenge to press freedom, this time in Marion, Kansas. Within 48 hours of the raid on the Marion County Record, we brought together dozens of news organizations to condemn the search. Our rapid response played a key role in the abrupt about-face by local police. And joining us here tonight is Eric Meyer, Editor-in-Chief of the Marion County Record. Eric, please stand. He's in the middle there. We are honored to have you with us. These cases represent critical moments in the arc of press freedom. They're also a reminder of why the Reporters Committee exists: to protect the legal rights of journalists so they can keep our communities informed and ultimately strengthen our democracy. Around the country, the need for legal support increasingly comes from local, independent, and community newsrooms, and we've responded to those calls with the Local Legal Initiative and ProJourn. When we dreamt up the Local Legal Initiative, in which we place our attorneys in states where pro bono resources are hard to come by, our longtime champion, Alberto Ibarguen, at the Knight Foundation, immediately understood the potential and spearheaded a $10 million investment to seed the program. And since launching it in 2020, Reporters Committee attorneys, led by Katie Townsend and Lisa Zeicherman, have represented hundreds of journalists and news organizations across the 5 Local Legal Initiative states. In Oklahoma, for example, we successfully sued the McCurtain County Sheriff's Office on behalf of the McCurtain Gazette for records related to the death of a Choctaw Nation citizen following a violent encounter with law enforcement. The lawsuit resulted in the release of body cam footage and other requested records, and was featured in a New Yorker story about the newspaper's efforts to investigate the sheriff's office. Our second local program, ProJourn, is also making a big difference. Launched by Microsoft and the law firm Davis Wright Tremaine, this network of law firms and in-house lawyers is now operated by the Reporters Committee, again with a grant from the Knight Foundation. In just 3 years, ProJourn has helped dozens of news organizations and freelance reporters and facilitated more than 1,800 pro bono hours worth over $1.5 million. Among the stories made possible with ProJourn is a seminal investigation by Open Vallejo in California, revealing that local officials destroyed evidence in several police killings. Another ProJourn client, Bob Moore of El Paso Matters is also here tonight. And I hope many of you, Bob, could you stand? And I hope many of you will have the chance to talk to Bob and hear what ProJourn has done for him through pre-publication review and access to public records to advance his critical work around the US-Mexican border. Now at RCFP, we take full service very, very seriously. And so today, when my Aunt Dale Manukin, who's here tonight with my Uncle Bob, sent me an email saying she could not find a print edition of the New York Times anywhere in Midtown Manhattan. So of course at RCFP, we took that as a challenge. My wife, Amy, has brought a copy of today's paper. Amy, could you stand? She's in the middle of the room there. She's got the paper. Dale, you can connect with Amy later. And like I said, this is RCFP at its best. You ask us, we'll find a way to do it. And we are leading the way in local legal support. At the same time, our national work remains as robust as ever. Last week, partnering with the Justice Department, we convened major news outlets and law enforcement groups from Seattle to Charlotte with a goal of establishing improved protections for the press at protests, an urgent project as we head into an election year. Over the last 5 decades, the Reporters Committee has shown how legal support empowers journalists to pursue the kind of reporting that informs communities, inspires accountability, and underpins our democracy. And as we think about the role of news in our nation, particularly local news, and about ways to make it not just sustainable, but vibrant and more representative, we must think about expanding legal support because it is critical infrastructure in any newsroom. And there's no one better to help make the case for the expansion of these services than the chairs of tonight's awards, each of whom exemplifies a deep commitment to journalism and the power of local news. Kate Adams, Apple Senior Vice President and General Counsel. Ted Boutros, partner at Gibson Dunn and a Reporters Committee board member. And Linda Henry, CEO of Boston Globe Media. We are beyond grateful to have your steadfast support. Thank you.